Talking football on NE10 now. Today, we are joined by St. Anselm linebacker Will Klein. I should say first place St. Anselm linebacker Will Klein. Will, I was talking to your coach Joe Adam earlier in the season, and he said your mantra has kind of been "Why not us?" Pretty good way to carry throughout the season. Why has it come to fruition, at least at this point?
Well, why not us has kind of been the story of our, at least a lot of guys here, careers. St. A's has always been on the lower spectrum of the, NE10 championship contenders. Um, Coach Adam preaches to us every week that, why not us? It means basically nobody in the conference thinks we could have done it. And, we've come this far and we got to keep going basically.
Still a couple of games left to go. You guys have Pace this weekend, then Franklin Pierce next weekend as well. But what's clicked to this point?
I think, obviously starting the season 0-2 kind of created a little fire in us, even though we wanted to come out with wins in those out of conference games. I think it almost was a blessing in disguise. We come into each week like the same way, regardless if we had won or not. So I think just our morality and our camaraderie is going through the roof week in and week out, and we're going to keep going.
Since you guys have been here, nobody's looked at St. A's as that team that can win the conference. So it's been a job to change the perception and to build things up. But when you're a high school student and you're being recruited, and St. A's comes around, what do you see that you buy into that says, like, yeah, this day is something I can foresee as an 18-year-old high school senior?
Um, yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think a lot of guys on our roster were probably recruited from the whole NE10, but I personally have to thank, Coach Adam, because he's a guy that brings in dudes, maybe that have had an injury out of high school and not weren't ready to play right away, but he's just a man of faith, and I think he picks the right guys to come to our program, and there's not a single bad dude on this team, and I think that's just what makes St. A's football the way it is.
What about that grouping and those guys that have that belief from your coaching staff? Why is that clicked? Not just that you've been good, but like last year, nationally good.
Right, right. Defensively, we just have so many guys that can do it. I was thinking earlier today, I'm like, we have 25 starters on defense, in my opinion. No, we got any dude that doesn't start can be a starter, and it's just the buying in of every guy week in, week out, watching film and having that turnover mentality, having that pride that we win and lose every game.
Coach Adams talked about turnovers and touchdowns. He says those are the two things you guys talk about from the outside. You're like, yeah, of course, like obviously. But what does that conversation sound like on the inside to say turnovers and touchdowns? That's what drives our mindset. And from a defensive standpoint, um, how has that magnifying glass been put on creating turnovers?
Oh, we always appreciate, we go into every week with like game goals, and every single week since I've been here is 3+ turnovers. So that's the goal. Obviously, you want to get the ball to our offense and let them go to work. But on top of that, we got a guy named Max Temption who loves to bring us together before every game and say, if they don't score, they can't win. We say it every week. That's the goal, to obviously shut out every team, but that's not always going to happen. But the mindset is to get turnovers, create turnovers, and get the ball in our offense's hand.
What's the thing you guys have? Like everybody's got a turnover chain, turnover thrown. Is it a turnover bucket?
Yeah, it's starting to seem like teams are catching on, or a turnover bucket. We just created a little gold football that whoever gets the turnover will get it and slam dunk it into the bucket. And we got guys that buy into it on the sideline, getting that bucket ready. And I think it's been a great thing for us.
The gold football is new. It used to just be the regular game ball, right?
Right, right. The refs seem to be catching on to things and taking the ball, but that's all right. We're still gonna dunk something and keep doing it.
I haven't gone back and looked at the film. What did you do off of your interception against Assumption? Was it like do you have a move? Was it like a 360 windmill? What do we do?
No, I was feeling a little bit in my shoulder after that play, so I went with my offhand, my left hand dunk, and I forget who was holding the bucket, but everyone got pretty excited after that for sure.
Why do those things work?
Why do things like the bucket work?
Yeah.
Well, I think it just comes from practice. Our offensive scout team brings it to us every single week, and even an interception versus the scout team, we're dunking it because we practice like we play truly. So it's just something we do every day, and we're not gonna ever let go of it.
So you guys do the whole bucket thing in practice too.
Yes, of course.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
Do you remember when it started?
It started last season, definitely. The beginning of last season, and during camp, we thought of something to do, and I couldn't tell you who. It might have been the spring before that, but it's something we love doing.
What did you think when you first saw it?
I wanted to turn over myself so I could get a dunk. Yeah,
That's
that's what.
amazing. That's awesome. Let me talk about the touchdown side of that. Obviously, you play defense, but
Yep.
talk about your offense because I looked at the box score against Assumption, and I mean, I know it was raining and a terrible day. It's not ideal for passing, but I went, yeah, it's a typo.
Right.
Not too often in 2023 are teams going to pass the ball one time. Um,
Hmm.
give me your impressions. You practice against them every day of what
Right.
that offense has done because it's morphed several times just in this season.
Um, I just have so much respect for our offensive guys. Like, dudes like Carson Goda, who was an all conference receiver, tight end last year, isn't catching as many balls this year, but what is he doing to get us better? He's blocking, his tail off. And then we got dudes up front like Jack Desmond, James Daly, who are, beat up and injured, and they continue to just bring it every week and be the voices of our team, add, toughness to our team. And it's just what I play for. I play for guys like that, truly.
You guys have 2 games left ahead of you here.
That's
How
right.
do you get the job done?
Starts tomorrow in practice on Tuesday. That's it. Coach Adam says it every week. The biggest opponent for us is ourselves, the guy that we see in the mirror. And it truly starts in practice tomorrow. We're gonna come out screaming and do the same thing we do every week.
Well, Klein, appreciate the time. Congrats on the success to this point, and best of luck over the next 2 games.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for having me.